APTA. And good morning, Baltimore. It's great to be here in Baltimore. We opened up, you may have heard the song before the video, Good Morning Baltimore, from the musical Hairspray. We had the Tony Awards last night, and what a fitting way to start. But man, that video, what did you think? What do you think? Yeah, kudos to our marketing team for putting that together, and kudos to all of you because it shows the tremendous work that we all do in this industry. And it's so exciting to see how in communities across the United States, and Canada, and really across the world, we are making communities better, we are improving people's lives, and that's what it's all about. All right, well, we have a fabulous conference and an exciting program planned for this morning. And we started off, actually, we had a full day of committee meetings yesterday. Anybody tired from all those committee meetings? A lot of work going on? Absolutely. But that's where a lot of the magic happens, and we're moving, we're working together, we're making things happen. We finished up the day yesterday with what? What did we do last night? Was anybody at the rodeo banquet? Yeah, absolutely. We celebrated the skills of the best operators and maintenance teams in our industry, and it was super exciting to be there last night. And as Dick and I were up congratulating the winners as they came up, I was really struck by how many different organizations and how many different professionals were up on the stage being recognized for excellence. And it really does run across our industry, and it shows how phenomenal this industry is. Do want to recognize our winners. And for the top operator team, we want to congratulate our friends and colleagues at the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit District, or BART. The top maintenance team came from the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, and the Team Achievement Award winner went to the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit Team, or BART. Let's give them all a big round of applause. And truly the best that our industry has to offer, absolutely phenomenal. As we begin our rail conference, we have an absolutely outstanding conference, and I couldn't be more excited to be here in Baltimore. Our friends and colleagues here at the Maryland MTA have done an incredible job, and we owe them a great debt of appreciation for all of their hard work to put this conference together. Give them a hand, absolutely. Conference attendance here couldn't be stronger. Well, it can always be stronger. Dick White will tell you that. We can always have more attendees, but 1,200 of us here for this conference from 34 states and Washington, D.C., but that's not all. This is truly an international event, and we have representatives here from Belgium, Canada, Chile, England, France, Germany, Japan, Mexico, Qatar, Spain, Switzerland, and Taiwan. So this is truly an international event. And we certainly want to take advantage of that international expertise to expand our learning, to learn what's happening in other parts of the world, what's happening in other parts of our country, because it's through that exchange that we all become stronger. We have a great number of sessions. In fact, I suspect you're going to struggle to figure out which sessions you're going to attend because there are so many that are happening. But our sessions include focusing on cybersecurity, traction power, environmental planning, core capacity, and safety and emergency management, just to name a few. So take a look at that impressive program. There's a lot there to look at. We also had our reception last night in our Products and Services Showcase, and we'll have another chance to visit with our business partners at the Products and Services Showcase, learn about the latest that's happening in our industry in terms of goods and services that are out there. Do want to extend a special welcome to our colleagues from the federal government, including Matt Welbus, the Executive Director of the Federal Transit Administration, and Patrick Warren, the Executive Director of the Federal Railroad Administration, and we'll hear from both of them later today in terms of what's happening in Washington, D.C. And then finally, we have two special presentations, one on how to win voter approval for transit ballot initiatives, and our closing session. And you don't want to miss this closing session. If you've planned to go home early, change your plans. You want to be here for this closing session. It's on the future of mobility, and I know it's going to be a dynamite session. You really absolutely do not want to miss that. All right, so let's jump right in. It's my pleasure at this time to introduce Tom Waldron, the Director of the Global Transit Market Sector for HDR, the sponsor of our opening session. Tom has worked in transit for more than 35 years. He's held positions at AECOM, Virginia Railway Express, New Jersey Transit Corporation, and Conrail. I've had the pleasure and honor of working with Tom on the board of directors and on a number of committees, and Tom is truly passionate about our industry, gives tremendously to APTA and to what we're doing, and it's a great honor to welcome you, Tom, to the stage.
You're a great-looking crowd. On behalf of my HDR colleagues across the globe, welcome to the 2017 APTA Rail Conference. You know, it's good that every once in a while we ditch our electronics and come together face-to-face to celebrate our accomplishments and to dig deep into our challenges and formulate coherent and thoughtful solutions. You know, but it may seem like Groundhog Day when you come to these events because you're hearing the same old themes and the cautionary tales about the condition of our industry. But let me tell you, it's that consistent message coming out of APTA and you that have gained transit a prominent place in the national discourse, a seat at the table, if you will. And as we all know, if we're not at the table, we're probably on the menu. When we met last year in Phoenix, the world was a drastically different place than what it is today. The mood of upheaval for upheaval's sake that drives the White House, and Brexit, that poster child in the UK for buyer's remorse, they're just the tip of a melting iceberg. Our lives, our families, our country, other countries, our industry, we're all buffeted by the constant, ever-accelerating winds of change. So, with that, what's new? I asked the strategist in the HDR think tank to think up some things that we should all think about. Let's take a look. Well, Hugh, indeed. Most of what you saw up here in some way impacts what we all do and how we do it. But I ask you, don't despair. Relax. Take a deep breath. Call HDR. As HDR celebrates its 100th anniversary this year, our next century will be all about anticipating and embracing change, like the last century. I want to see a show of hands. How many out there are related to a 6th grader? Come on. I am. A statistic I like to cite. 65% of the jobs that will be available to your 6th grader when they're of age haven't been invented yet. That's quite something. So, and when they're ready for the workforce, what will our transit and intercity rail systems look like? How will they operate? Who will ride them? How will they be designed? Who will build them? How will they be funded? Will they be funded? And who will lead them? And importantly, what careers will we have invented for those eager, wide-eyed kids? All great questions. So, let's take a few days here in Charm City and think it through. Have fun. Keep up the good work. Have a great conference. Thank you.
Thank you for your generous sponsorship. We are very, very grateful. All right. We had hoped today to have Mayor Catherine Pugh with us, and unfortunately, as you might imagine, the mayor is in incredibly high demand, and she sends her regrets that she's unable to join us, but I know she sends a strong welcome to us as we come to her great city. And we are very fortunate to have Jim T. Smith, who is the Chief of Strategic Alliance for the mayor, here to represent the mayor and to give the city's greetings. So please welcome Jim Smith.
Good morning, everyone. And it is really a pleasure for me, on behalf of Mayor Catherine Pugh, the 50th mayor of Baltimore, to extend to you the warmest welcome. And the temperature is supposed to be 95 today, so nobody can really contradict me on that. To Baltimore, you know, I really appreciate the agenda that you have for this conference, because in one of my former lives, I was the Maryland Secretary of Transportation. So I really looked down and saw the issues that you're going to tackle at this conference, and I commend you, and I commend all of you for being here. And it's great to think of this as an international rail conference, because internationally, America can learn a lot from our international partners, and likewise, they can learn a lot from us. We all have to advance, and as we saw in the video presentation, there is so much change in the works. And rail, however, is going to be at the heart of that change, because that's the way people in the future are really going to get around, more so than even today, so that the work that you're engaged in is all that much more important. So I know the mayor is very disappointed about not being able to greet you, but she would extend to you, don't leave early now. Don't leave early from the conference, but certainly take into your enjoyment the many restaurants and amenities that Baltimore has to offer, after the conference has concluded, of course. It is really, Baltimore is a great city, and it really is very proud to welcome this organization to our city. I wish you the very, very best for a very productive conference, and again, thank you for picking Baltimore, and thank you for what you do.
Mr. Smith, thank you so much for being with us, and please extend our greetings to the mayor and our appreciation for the hospitality as we are here enjoying Charm City. All right. And at this point, it is now my great honor to welcome someone who will give us a state perspective on what's happening here in the state of Maryland. Earl Lewis is the Deputy Secretary for Policy, Planning, and Enterprise Services at the Maryland Department of Transportation. He's held various leadership positions at Maryland DOT and has served in several roles at the Maryland MTA during his career, including Deputy Administrator for Operations and Deputy Chief of Emergency Preparedness. He knows public transportation and knows our issues. Maryland is lucky to have him, and we are lucky to have him here today with us. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Lewis. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Doran, and good morning to everyone here. I join Governor Larry Hogan and Transportation Secretary Pete Ron in welcoming you all to Baltimore and the state of Maryland. Rest assured, the Hogan administration and Maryland Department of Transportation are committed to strengthening support for our transit rail workers and to maintaining our infrastructure. As some of you know, and as was recently mentioned, I spent 9.5 years with the Maryland Transit Administration, so I have firsthand knowledge of what it takes to keep the transportation system working. Long before Pete Ron appointed me Deputy Secretary of Policy, Planning, and Enterprise Services, I was fortunate to fill several roles here at MTA, including Deputy Administrator for Transit Operations, Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, and Deputy Chief of Safety and Emergency Preparedness. The last two positions were part of the MTA Office of Safety, Quality Assurance, and Risk Management. So you might say, I've been in the trenches together with you in working to improve transit rail. I applaud the work you put in every day to better provide the service that riders and the public deserve and expect, not just here in Maryland, but across the country and around the world. Let me share with you briefly what we do at MDOT. We wear many hats as we oversee the state's transportation infrastructure. Our agency includes the Secretary's Office, the State Highway Administration, the Motor Vehicle Administration, the Maryland Port Administration, the Maryland Aviation Administration, the Maryland Transit Authority, or Transportation Authority, and last but certainly not least, the Maryland Transit Administration. As one MDOT, we're strengthening our operations and customer service using our data and resources to be more efficient every day. Marylanders depend on us for safe and secure transportation systems, and we're not going to let them down. As a recent national study showed, the MDOT MTA was America's safest transit system in terms of serious crimes as a Part 1 in 2016 out of the top 12 transit agencies. Our unique organizational structure gives the state of Maryland the ability to develop coordinated and balanced approaches to transportation. To that end, the Hogan administration is investing $14.8 billion over the next 6 years in our transportation infrastructure. Projects include the $5.6 billion Purple Line project, which we hope to have fully underway soon. The proposed 16-mile light rail project will connect and reduce congestion for Marylanders traveling in the DC suburbs, and also connect to WMATA, Metro Rail, as well as all three of our MARC commuter rail lines. Hopefully, we'll soon see more movement on the Purple Line light rail project, the largest public-private partnership transit project in the country. We're also committed to partnering with CSX to make investments to allow for double stacking in the Howard Street Tunnel, which will open up additional capacity to Helen DeLeach Bentley Port of Baltimore and expand our regional economy. And just this week, we're getting ready to launch Baltimore Link, the governor's transformative $135 million interconnected transit system, which I'm sure Kevin is going to say a lot more about in a few moments. MDOT also wears many hats. It oversees local bus, mobility and paratransit, metro subway, commuter bus, light rail, and the MARC commuter rail trains that carry approximately 420,000 people a day, and 100,000 of these riders travel on our rail system. Whether our riders use light rail to enjoy a sporting event at Camden Yards or M&T Bank Stadium, travel to hear the Baltimore Symphony at the Meyerhoff by using our metro subway system, or choose to work or visit for pleasure the nation's capital or even West Virginia using our MARC commuter rail trains, we continue to look for ways to enhance our riders' experience and the customer service that we deliver. Recently on MARC, we installed bike cars on all weekend trains. We put 54 new cars in service about 2 years ago, allowing us to increase the number of bi-level cars and increase our capacity on our commuter rail lines. We are also, around the end of November this year, we expect to have 8 new high-speed 125-mile-per-hour locomotives delivered. On light rail, we have underway a midlife overhaul of our light rail vehicles. On Metro Subway, we are placing 78 of our 100 Metro cars. We also are looking ahead to future transit opportunities, are involved in the NEPA study for the superconducting magnetic levitation train aimed at connecting Baltimore and Washington, D.C., as we partner with the Baltimore-Washington Rapid Rail Organization and Medco. We're excited for the future of transit in Maryland, and I appreciate you for being here today in Baltimore. During your stay, I encourage you to ride with us, enjoy your visit, and have a great conference. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. All right. Well, Deputy Secretary Lewis, thank you so much. And I think it really goes to show when you've seen one transit system, you've seen one transit system. It's certainly a unique governance structure and one that we want to learn more about. It's great to be in your great state. All right. It's now my great honor to introduce our host, the acting administrator of the Maryland MTA, acting CEO and administrator Kevin Quinn. And prior to this conference, Kevin and I really didn't know each other, but we had a chance to sit together on a panel with our Emerging Leaders Group and share our experiences. And I immediately learned a lot about Kevin, about his energy, about his enthusiasm, about his passion for what he does. We are very pleased to be here with all of our colleagues at the Maryland MTA. Kevin comes to us with a background in public policy and more than a decade in public transit. He has served as MTA's Director of Planning and Programming up until a couple of days ago, and he'll tell us about that, I'm sure. He is responsible for the implementation of the Baltimore Link project. He's a certified public accountant, holds a master's degree in public policy from Johns Hopkins University, and again is a passionate leader in our industry. Please welcome Acting Administrator Kevin Quinn.
Welcome to Baltimore. Really excited to have you. I'm probably not the person you thought you'd see here today, and that goes the same for me. So I'll just, right now address the elephant in the room. This is the real color of my hair, and it did not just turn gray in the last week. So I want to thank you all for being here. The great thing about MTA is we have a fantastic team. Fantastic leadership team, from our leadership down to our operators. We have a fantastic group at the MTA. And so on behalf of the more than 3,000 MDOT MTA employees, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Baltimore for APTA's International Rail Rodeo and Rail Conference. This promises to be a really great event. It has been a great event so far. I'm looking forward to meeting many of you. We are delighted to host so many individuals from our industry during the Rail Rodeo. I was over at the Cromwell facility meeting folks, and man, just some really talented folks in the industry over there. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our nearly 100 volunteers that we've had here from the MTA, all led by my friend and our Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Sean Adgerson. If you could all give him a round of applause. Sean, stand up, stand up. Sean's done a fantastic job and really keeping this thing organized. So before we get underway, I'd like to show a quick video just to introduce you to MTA and Baltimore Link.
Welcome to Baltimore, home of the Star-Spangled Banner, championship sports, world-class cultural institutions, fine dining that's rated as some of the best in the nation, and people so friendly, we're known as Charm City. It's also home to the Maryland Department of Transportation Maryland Transit Administration, the 11th largest transit system in the nation. MDOT MTA is a statewide agency with a primary responsibility to serve commuters in the Baltimore area. Last year, M.MTA transported over 110 million passengers to their destinations with local regional bus, light rail, metro subway, MARC train service, and mobility paratransit service. You've arrived at a significant time in the Baltimore region's transit history. For decades, the Baltimore area has been growing consistently to the point where it's become the 5th most congested city in America. While hundreds of thousands of new jobs around the region have contributed to a vibrant economy, the transit system has not kept pace. In fact, despite major changes to the transportation needs of Baltimore area commuters, the bus routing system has not had a major redesign in over 50 years. That's all about to change.
Today I am announcing the investment of an additional $135 million in new funding to implement a transformative new vision for the future of transit in Baltimore City.
With the implementation of Governor Larry Hogan's plan to transform transit in the region. At 12:01 a.m. on Sunday, June 18, 2017, Baltimore Link will launch the Baltimore area's transportation system into the 21st century with an approach that Maryland residents and visitors expect and deserve. Development of the Baltimore Link system is based on a transit study the MTA conducted starting in 2012, when passengers told us what they wanted most: safe, efficient, reliable transit with world-class customer service. Baltimore Link puts those goals into action. Today, Maryland's M.MTA continues to be recognized as the safest among the nation's 12 largest transit systems. Now, Baltimore Link puts the goals of efficiency, reliability, and world-class customer service at the forefront of M.MTA Acting Administrator Kevin Quinn's vision for a transit system that works for everyone. What's so great about Baltimore Link compared to the old system? Almost everything. The old system relied on individual bus routes that stretched from one end of the city to another. A delay in one part of the route would add to even more delays, fractured schedules, and frustrated passengers up and down the line. The new Baltimore Link plan is based on 12 high-frequency color-coded bus routes called CityLink that can handle large numbers of riders and that are designed to arrive so frequently, every 10 minutes or so during rush hours, that there won't even be a need for a schedule. CityLink routes are designed to answer a need for connectivity that had previously been lacking throughout the system, connecting with neighborhood buses called Local Link, and with all of MTA's other modes of transit, including light rail and metro subway, as well as Amtrak and long-distance bus carriers. In addition to bringing greater connectivity and reliability to the system, Baltimore Link is making transit history for the region too. With its new Express Bus Link service, it's finally possible for the first time ever to travel directly from suburb to suburb in the Baltimore area without having to travel downtown first. For many of our suburban riders, that makes getting to jobs more practical than ever by cutting travel times in half. The Baltimore Link plan is more than just a collection of new bus routes. It's a reimagining of the entire transit system designed to make it easy for everyone to choose public transit to get to where the jobs are. In addition to redesigning the routes to keep up with the times, Baltimore Link includes the addition of dedicated bus lanes to ensure that even in rush hour traffic, public transit can stay on schedule. Transit signal prioritization will give bus operators the power to delay a red light or keep a green light green longer. And bike-sharing arrangements along with electric vehicle charging stations at rail stops throughout the system will make it easier to get to transit stations instead of driving all the way to work. M.MTA is also committed to making it easier for bicycle riders to take their bikes along on buses, light rail, metro subway, and even MARC train service with the addition of MARC bike cars. M.MTA has committed itself to the idea that riders deserve a public transit system that's their first choice when it comes to getting around. From its founding more than 2 centuries ago, Maryland has contributed to our nation's reputation for history-making innovation. With the launch of Baltimore Link and its promise of safe, efficient, reliable transit with world-class customer service, that reputation is about to become stronger than ever.
We got a lot going on in Baltimore. We got a lot going on, from our bus system to bike share, dedicated lanes, transit signal priority. We got a lot going on. From a rail perspective, we operate 3 rail modes. We have our metro subway with about 40,000 daily riders, our light rail with about 25,000, and our commuter train with about 35,000. So, we've got about 100,000 daily riders on our rail modes here in Baltimore, another 250 on our bus service. The big problem is that up until now, none of it has connected. It's all remained sort of in their own little silos. No one ever took a step back and said, we should really connect these modes. We should have our bus system connect better to our metro and our light rail and our commuter rail systems. And so that's why we're launching Baltimore Link, a real reimagining of our entire system that's going to create new routes, reorganize our routes, and really help us operate more efficiently. In order to build this house that we're building with Baltimore Link, we needed a solid foundation, and so we had to really kind of get back to the basics. And so to do so, we laid in place our 4 cornerstones of transit, what we call our 4 cornerstones, the first being safety. Really this idea that transit is really no good if we can't protect our passengers and our employees who provide the service. We also want our service to be reliable. We all want our service to be reliable. Our customers need to be able to rely on our service to reach their destinations on time. And efficiency. Our services need to be efficient. We need to get our customers to their destinations as efficiently as possible and make it easy to use and accessible. And world-class customer service, our 4th cornerstone, one of the most important, that our riders and riders all over the country and the world deserve the best customer service and a great experience. And so what's the common theme across all of these? The common theme is the customer, because when transit is done right, it can really make someone's day. It can make their life easier. And when it's not done right, it can ruin their day. That video talked about some of our new express services. And so, we have new express lines that are, connecting some of our suburbs. So, prior to this, in some of the suburban areas of Baltimore, to get from one area to the other, you had to start out in the suburbs, come all the way into downtown, transfer, come all the way back up. It was about a 2-hour ride for a lot of people. And as part of our Baltimore Link project, we've been out doing a lot of community meetings and talking to people, talking to our riders. And I had a rider come up to me, and it was potentially a really kind of contentious, community meeting we were going to have. And she came up and she said, "Listen, I want to thank you. I've been taking a 2-hour commute for a few years, and you've made it 45 minutes. And so that's going to make my life so much easier. Thank you for doing that." And it's those moments that we know we're doing the right thing and that we're right in the right industry. And that is really the power of transit done right. Sometimes it sounds so simple, but as you know, changing the culture and the direction of an agency is never easy. We got to work at it every day, and that's what we've been doing for the past couple of years. Every action and project is based on those 4 cornerstones. We are making record investments, as the Deputy Secretary noted, in state of good repair to ensure that our railways are safe, and we have many more really safety-critical improvements that are in the pipeline. We're replacing our entire metro stock. We're overhauling our light rail cars. In just a couple of years, we're going to have a completely new rail fleet. And with Baltimore Link, we're creating a bus network that's not only going to be more efficient and reliable, but it's going to provide those vital connections to our rail modes and is going to revolutionize transit in Baltimore. But we're not done yet. With the upcoming revamp of our fare collection system, planned overhaul of some rail stations, including BWI Mark Station and Camden Yards station right nearby, combined with an ongoing, very aggressive push on our part to improve our real-time data, we've embarked on a mission to improve the customer experience. The question that I think we ask ourselves a lot of the time is, how can we really make our services more intuitive, more accessible, and quite frankly, more fun? How can we do that? I hope you'll join us in around 10:30 after the opening session to learn more about these 4 cornerstones. We're going to be down on the first floor in the Latrobe room, and that is my shameless plug. So, before I turn it back over to Doran, I want to issue a challenge to you all. During this conference, I encourage you to focus on that rider experience and really ask yourself, how can you take back what you've learned here in Baltimore to impact the lives of your riders? What network connections, can you make here in Baltimore that will help solve a problem that affects your customers every day? What idea or concept or technology can you take back that will transform your rider's experience. And if you do this, I guarantee you will return from Baltimore with a renewed commitment to deliver an outstanding service for your riders, a service that's grounded in those 4 cornerstones, a service that's focused, that is really, really focused on customers. It's a service that will change lives. Before I close, I want to show a quick video, some of the excitement that we're feeling around Baltimore Link. This is starting to hit the airwaves, and we're pumped up about it because it's pretty awesome. And so I think it demonstrates some of our excitement we're feeling. Whoa. I think that's pretty cool, right? So we're pumped up about it. Thank you so much for joining us in Baltimore. I hope you enjoy your stay. Thank you.
Well, Kevin, you know, there's nothing like throwing a party for 1,200 of your closest friends, completely redesigning your services all within about a 2-week period. It's great. Thanks to you and all of our colleagues here at the Maryland MTA for graciously hosting us. And I promise I'll give you a call here in a couple weeks and we'll see if you have any hair left at all. Just saying. All right. Well, many of you know my story, or parts of my story. And I actually started my career in this industry on the bus side of the house, and I run a bus-only transit system. Like many of us, I sort of fell into this industry somewhat by happenstance. I was in college at the University of California at Davis, and I needed a job. Best paying job on campus was driving a bus. In fact, the best paying job on campus was driving that bus, and 6 others just like it. Unitrans had 6 London RT-style double-deck buses, 2 Daimler double-deck buses. We had some old GMC new-look buses, and actually even a couple of the old-look buses, for those of you that go back a ways in terms of history. And it was through that experience that I really learned the transit system. That was a ginormous 30-bus transit system. But it did all the things that we do in our industry, and it was a great learning experience and a great entry point into this industry. But for me, my introduction and my involvement with transportation really didn't begin with a bus, it began with a train, and it began with my dad. My dad was a huge train enthusiast. He never worked in the industry, but he would go to incredible lengths to find trains, see trains, ride trains, take pictures of trains, and later in his life, actually, to own trains. And this is a photo with my dad and one of my nephews, and he is standing in front of a Super Chief sleeper car. That car is called the Palm Leaf, and it did the route from Los Angeles to Chicago. My dad was such a train enthusiast that he actually is a part owner of this particular rail car. And it gave him such incredible joy to be able to charter that car and take other people out and experience what it's like to be out on the rails, to really fulfill that passion that he had for rail service. And it was something that was absolutely infectious and something that I very much appreciate. Last year when I was here with you, I thought, you know, it'd be kind of cool if Dad came with me here, because I know he'd be right at home with this group and would just have a tremendous time interacting with everyone. And unfortunately, Dad passed away in February from a very sudden and very aggressive form of cancer. Was quite a shock to our family and quite a loss, but I know that he's here with us today, with me today, and looking over my shoulder, and I will always appreciate his passion and his guidance and his wisdom. So to some extent, if your folks are still with you, or if it's your kids or whatever, when you go up to your room tonight, call home, because you never know when things might change. So anyway, thanks for that little moment to share that bit of history and certainly a bit of loss. So. It has been a great ride to serve as chair of this organization over the last many months, and we have been incredibly busy. At the beginning of my term as chair, I set out 5 goals that I wanted us to be very much focused on as we move forward throughout this time that I have the honor of serving as your chair. And my first goal was to focus on safety and security. Safety and security is our most important value. It's the thing that we have to be focused on every single day with everything that we do. And as an association, as an industry, making sure that that is front and center is absolutely critical. I hope you saw the safety announcements on the slides even before you came in, because safety is at the bedrock of what we're all about. APTA offers a whole series of safety and security related programs to support our industry, and continuing to emphasize that in this changing environment is absolutely crucial. And in looking at safety and security, we look not only to what we're doing here in the continental North America, but also across the world. I had the great honor of leading our study mission to Asia, where we visited Hong Kong, Singapore, and Tokyo, and learned about the best practices in safety and security in the world. We saw things that were absolutely phenomenal, and there will be a session just after this general session that will touch on some of those great learnings. Again, safety and security has to be at the center of everything that we do, and I'm very, very excited that that's the first goal and that we're making great strides there. My second goal, as you might recall, was to focus on what's happening in Washington, D.C. And when I stepped into this role, we knew that an election was coming. We weren't quite sure what was happened, and boy, look what happened. It's been an interesting time. Our APTA team and all of you have been leaning in very strongly in terms of having an incredible presence in Washington, D.C., making sure that we're delivering our message, making sure that we're telling our story. We've been engaging both Congress and the new Trump administration and making sure that we're getting the word out. And we've had good results in many respects. The 2017 spending bill was at or above the FAST Act, and that is a great success given the dialogue and the environment in Washington, D.C. But at the same time, we know there are tremendous threats. The Capital Investment Grant Program has been under attack and may not survive, and that is a critical capital funding program, along with many other programs that are so crucial to allow us to deliver the services that we provide to the communities that we serve. Our acting CEO, Dick White, will talk a little bit more about that and the tremendous efforts that are happening. But again, I've urged you over and over to make sure that your voice is loud, that our voice is loud, that we're delivering the message, and I continue to urge you to do that. We have much work to do, and we can't let up. In fact, we need to push even harder as we move forward. My third goal was to make APTA more effective, unified, and strategically focused as an organization, and a key part of that was an update to our bylaws. I am incredibly excited to report that we have adopted those bylaws as an association, and now we have the hard work of putting those bylaws into action, taking all the things that we thought about and included in those bylaws and actually making those things happen. And that doesn't occur easily. That occurs with all of us leaning in, that occurs with all of us working hard, and getting to that next level that we're trying to achieve in terms of where we are as an association. Part of that is the expanded executive committee, and now the executive committee has very specific seats in some categories to make sure that certain voices are always at the table, and that includes the voice of rail in a variety of different aspects. We now need people to step up and fill those expanded seats on our executive committee and meet the challenge to put those bylaws into action. So I encourage you all to go to the APTA website, take a look at that information, and consider stepping up and stepping into a leadership role. We need you. We need you to continue to make APTA an incredibly strong organization. My fourth goal was to focus on selecting APTA's next CEO, the person that will write the next chapter of APTA's history. And again, I'm pleased to report that earlier in this weekend, the board approved several key items that will allow us to continue along the process of fulfilling that search. The board took action to approve our job description, key attributes, performance evaluation, and directed us to go out now to the external search phase. We're on target to bring forward a candidate to present to the APTA Board of Directors to consider appointing to that position at our December meeting. And so much more work to be done there, but again, we are making great progress. My fifth goal was to ensure that we continue to promote diversity and inclusion. And we are so much stronger because we are a diverse organization that pulls in people from many, many backgrounds, many aspects. We take all of that diversity and it makes us so much stronger. We've had a very, very solid commitment to diversity and inclusion through our Diversity Council, but in many respects, the goals that we had originally set through that program have been achieved, which means we need to set new goals. We need to expand our thinking. And I've challenged Nat Ford, our vice chair, who has done a tremendous job of leading our Diversity Council and leading this effort to make sure that we're moving to that next level. And at our annual meeting, we'll be bringing forward a refreshed, updated, vibrant diversity and inclusion program that will take us to those next levels and allow us to continue to move forward. And I want to extend a special thanks to Nat. I think one of the jobs of vice chair is to do all the assignments that the chair cooks up, right, Nat? And so I've thought up all kinds of great things, and I've said, Nat, will you take care of this? Nat, will you do that? And Nat has been there every time I've asked. He's working hard for us, and we're working very closely as a team, and thank you, sir, for all that you're doing. It's great stuff. Speaking of the annual meeting, what happens in October? What happens? Expo, absolutely. And we have a just phenomenal agenda and program that's planned for the Expo. Again, lots of learning, but also lots of incredible interaction with our business partners, learning about the latest, the greatest in terms of what's happening in our industry. As of now, we have two full-size rail cars that'll be on the Expo floor. And you all know, getting a rail car to the Expo floor is not an easy feat. We have 10 international delegations, and I expect that number will grow. We have millions and billions of square feet of, I don't know, Dick, 280,000 square feet of expo space. That's close to $1 billion, right? It's going to be a phenomenal show, and I know that our friends and colleagues at MARTA in Atlanta are working very hard to make sure that we have a very warm welcome, and I look forward to seeing all of you at Expo. In addition to all of that, we continue to focus on delivering good value. APTA has so many offerings, and there are so many things that we have underway. While my 5 goal areas focus on some very specific things, that doesn't mean there aren't all kinds of other things that are happening, including delivering outstanding conferences and workshops, making sure that we're focusing in and leaning in on research, on workforce development, advocacy, and so much more. And our APTA team, I have the chance to work very closely with our APTA professionals, and let me tell you, they are an incredibly hardworking group of folks. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, of course, a great team doesn't perform well without a great leader, and we are very fortunate to have Dick White in the role of CEO for the APTA organization. Dick was called upon at a time of need, and Dick has not only jumped in and made sure that the wheels keep rolling, he is leading. He is a thought leader. He's advancing what we're trying to do. He's challenging us to think differently. He's challenging us to move forward. He's an incredible advocate for us on Capitol Hill in Washington, and we, again, are very, very fortunate to have Dick White as our CEO. Dick, please come on up.
You've covered a tremendous amount of territory. You've helped move our association forward. I know the remaining several months that you have in your term are going to be very, very successful, and that we set this up so that when we hand it over to Nat for next year, we're going to continue the momentum that we have all worked together to establish. And do you feel like APTA is getting better, that we're moving in the right direction? Do you feel that way? Thank you. Thank you for all of you for helping us to do that. I also would like to thank the mayor, who unfortunately was not able to be here, but she was able to send Jim Smith and his very great words of welcome and observations that were great. Also, Deputy Secretary Lewis. We're really grateful for public officials who really get it and who really understand how transit transforms communities. Especially, of course, Kevin Quinn, who, I met Kevin really for the first time on Thursday. I came up here Thursday, I guess it was Friday actually, to say, let me drop by and see Kevin and make sure everything is okay. How you doing? Yeah, since you're drinking water through the fire hose, and there he was, cool, calm, and collected. He knew exactly what his assignments were. He had everything down, so I know the MTA is in great hands. Congratulations to you, Kevin. Your team is really doing an amazing job. Everything that has happened thus far has been phenomenal. The rodeo's been phenomenal. Your hosting here has been terrific, and let's just give them another round of applause. And good morning to all of you, our APTA family and friends. It's so great to see all of you once again, to understand the power and greatness of our industry, and it's that way because of all of you. I never cease to be amazed by what this industry does and can do when it comes together and it mobilizes the collective efforts of all of you in this room and all of our colleagues across the country. And coming here in Baltimore, you know, this is our APTA Rail conference, so rail is the theme, and I'd like to sort of make that the theme of my remarks, and I'd like to really just put it in the context of, you know, we have had a long run of a renaissance of rail in this country. You know, and what a renaissance it's been. We've had a few events recently, really trying to step up our game on the advocacy side. We've worked hard to bring in a number of our members to tell their stories as a part of that. We had one recently that was really great, and Scott Smith, who's the CEO of Valley Metro in Phoenix, and he was a former elected official. He was the mayor of Mesa, Arizona. I don't know whether all of us really think of Arizona as the most transit-intensive and friendly state in the nation, but it is moving very rapidly in that direction, and elected officials get it, and I think Scott probably had such a passion as a mayor. He said, let me get in the game here and get it and become the executive. And he had a quote. He said, Main Street America isn't only enhanced, Main Street America is reborn because of investment in high-capacity transit, especially rail. So when APTA held its rail conference in 1970, it was in the Statler Hilton in Boston, Randy, believe it, okay? And rail looked pretty different at that time. We were known as the American Transit Association. We weren't APTA quite at that point in time. We worked in cooperation with the Institute of Rapid Transit, and these were APTA's two predecessor associations. So here's a map of the United States, and here's what rail looked like in the country at that time. So as you can see, you know, it was largely concentrated in the Northeast, Midwest, and just a little sprinkling elsewhere. Now, you look around this room, and it's filled with people from cities where rail didn't exist when Presidents Nixon, Ford, and even Carter were in the White House. So let's fast forward now, almost 50 years later, to today. This is what rail looks like in America. And you can see how many different communities across our country have implemented rail, and there's many, many more that want to implement rail and want to expand the systems that they have already put in. So this is more than a renaissance. This is more than a rebirth. It's a movement. And like every successful social and economic movement, it's driven by public demand. In 1970, there were 8 heavy rail systems. Today, there are 15. In 1970, there were 9 commuter rail and hybrid systems. Today, there are 33. And in 1970, there were 7 surface rail systems. Today, there are 44, including light rail and streetcar. In just the last 10 years alone, ridership on all rail modes increased by more than 30%, and more than 1,200 miles of new track have been built and put into service. So in large and small cities across the country, passenger rail projects have reinvigorated downtown neighborhoods and transformed rail communities. After the opening of BART and WMATA heavy rail systems in the 1970s, and I'm proud to say those are 2 systems that I had the great fortune of being the CEO of, our country moved forward with its second generation of light rail, and it began in San Diego in 1981. San Diego sparked economic development and great progress for that community, and it triggered big ideas for many other cities across the nation. In Phoenix, a city built around the automobile, rail now links universities, sports facilities, and downtown business centers and to the airport. The investment has been a magnet for $7 billion in new ventures and thousands of jobs. In Denver, a modest sales tax leveraged federal funding, innovative financing, and private sector investment to create one of the most ambitious community development plans fueled by rail. In Charlotte, a new light rail was the catalyst for developing 5 corridors for economic growth. It's a great example of how public transit and land use policies work together. And in San Francisco, a city with a very long and strong public transit history, rail continues to feed the area's knowledge economy by providing access to a high-tech workforce. It's all working together too: streetcars, cable cars, Caltrain heavy rail, VTA, and of course BART, which is expanding to San Jose. And in Washington, D.C., not only has Metro transformed once neglected city neighborhoods into economic hotspots, but it's also given new life to neighboring suburban communities in Maryland and Virginia, such as Bethesda, Silver Spring, Ballston, Crystal City, and recently Tyson's Corners. And as we've seen in Baltimore and in the video and in the remarks, here is another community city transformed by a great transit system, especially rail. So remarkably, in North America, there are currently 80 major rail and BRT projects scheduled to open in the next 12 to 24 months. 80 projects in North America, $78 billion going to work, delivering almost 800 route miles of new service, and scheduled to attract 3 million daily new rail riders. So as the enormous benefits of rail transit became evident, it led to a continuing hunger for more rail in more places, and it's been fueled by local funding measures. Last November, voters from diverse communities throughout the country approved $170 billion in new local funding measures for public transportation expansion and state of good repair, a record sum in any single referendum. In fact, over the last 2 decades, this has been the track record of local referendums. Year in and year out, more than 70% of these referendums pass because voters know that this is what they want. They know when there's a process that allows them to participate in shaping their community, and that we have a good understanding that where the money is going to go and accountability for it to deliver, they're going to vote yes to see that happen. This kind of voter sentiment year after year is a clear recognition of the economic and social returns from rail and other public transportation investments. So let me also add, on Tuesday, there's a luncheon. It's all about the appeal of these local funding measures. So it would be a good thing for you to go take in. I think you'd really find it worthwhile. So do you know who else gets it? You know, the public gets it, right? All of you in this room get it. In business, they really get it. Hundreds of diverse companies are moving to and investing around transit-oriented communities. It's another new and dramatic movement that's really accelerating. Marriott decided to expand its headquarters in Bethesda, Maryland, rather than relocate because the workforce relied on local rail service. State Farm Insurance has built and expanded regional hubs in 3 cities: Tempe, Arizona, Atlanta, and Richmond, Texas, just north of Dallas, all because of good access to public transportation. In Massachusetts, manufacturer General Electric, pharmaceutical maker Biogen, and service provider Partners Healthcare, all relocated to the Boston area because of the city's network of multimodal operations. Chicago credits its public transit system among the reasons why it leads the nation in corporate relocations. McDonald's is moving from the city's Oak Brook suburb to downtown, following the steps of Motorola, Kraft Foods, AT&T, United Airlines, Congera, and 50 other companies. Clearly, rail is delivering more than passengers. Unfortunately, some in Washington haven't quite embraced this concept recently. So, you know, we've been talking about this, and Doran referred to it. You know, we are under a threat. It almost defies explanation as to, with all of this tremendous success, that the executive branch of government would feel that it's not a federal responsibility to continue its investment in public transportation. So we faced a threat in the fiscal year 2017. You've probably heard about that. For those of you who were in Reno at our bus conference, you know, we were able to sort of give a great thumbs up that we had a good outcome with that in the fiscal year 2017 federal omnibus appropriations bill. Not only was transit funded at the FAST Act authorizing levels. It was even funded at $100 million above those levels for the Capital Investment Grant program. We prevailed in that regard because we asked you to mobilize, that you went out there and put yourself out and went to go see your members of Congress. You went to see them in their home office. You went to go see them in Washington, D.C. You did it early and often, because every chance I get to say, I repeat the fact that there is nothing more powerful, there is no more powerful advocacy in our industry than you going to tell your story to your member of Congress, telling them your story about the jobs that are in their district, about the impacts that transit makes in their communities. And quite frankly, some who don't represent transit-rich places, when they hear the story about the jobs impact, I can tell you they alert real quickly because they really begin to sort of understand that. So in fiscal year 2018, in the President's federal budget proposal, we had known that this was going to likely be the case because of the skinny budget, which actually came out right after the legislative conference. Well, the President's full budget indeed did follow through with what it was signaling, which was to retreat further back from the Federal Capital Investment Grant Program. It said that it's no longer a federal responsibility to implement these projects, and it's up to state and local government to do that it was going to honor the commitments that it had made for existing full funding grant agreements, but that it was not going to sign and implement any more. Again, fortunately, Caltrain was one of the last ones that was hanging at the wire, and fortunately, the Caltrain full funding grant agreement was able to be made. So we went to work and said, well, wait a minute, what's going to happen if this retreat takes place? There's going to be 800,000 jobs that are going to be put at risk. There's going to be $90 billion in economic activity that isn't going to be born, and we're going to have progress on 53 new and expanded transit projects in 23 states across the nation, totaling $38 billion. So here they are. You may very well have one of those in that queue. And guess what? Beyond those 53, there's probably another 50, 75 that are in earlier stages of development. So these 53 include 10 light rail, 7 streetcar, 13 commuter rail and heavy rail, and 23 BRT projects. As important as that is, and as staggering as that impact would be in these communities and on the people who live in those communities for mobility, there's more impact than just that. The real impact is going to be felt with the public transit, the suppliers of our industry. These are vehicle manufacturers, component suppliers, contractors and subcontractors, engineering and service companies. Look at them. They're populating this map right now. And lots of very small and disadvantaged business enterprises. So this is going to put a big hurt on the private sector side, supply side in our country. So this is a very big issue. For example, and when the business members came in during a National Infrastructure Week on our advocacy to the Hill, we really delivered this message. We hit really, really hard. We brought our industry footprint information. We told people in each of their districts how many jobs were at stake here and what the economic impact was going to be. We used a couple of examples, one being Wabtec, employs 600 people in 3 facilities in South Carolina. But those 3 operations, here's what they do. They provide doors, brakes, compressors, and couplers to public transit systems in New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Boston, Dallas, Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Washington, and to Amtrak, and to international cities. That's a pretty big impact. And that's just one story. We have many, many other of our private sector suppliers who could make the very, very same statement. And this doesn't, as I said before, this doesn't even include another more than 50 or 75 projects that are further behind in the queue. So this is a very alarming situation. This is a break in a 35-year partnership that's been going on with the federal government's funding in public transit. It goes back to President Reagan. Who would think that President Reagan was going to be kind of the chief policy man to implement putting transit in the transportation, in the Highway Trust Fund as a dedicated source for transit in the trust fund. And actually, it goes back even further than that to 1961, when the first dollars went into a transit program in the Department of Housing and Home Finance Agency. So they imply, as I said before, that states and local communities have the means to go it alone when it comes to public transit. It actually points out to some of you who have had success in your recent ballot measures as evidence. And it uses the example of Los Angeles and Seattle. Imagine that. Using the example of two cities who went to the voters for large funding measures, got them overwhelmingly approved, but that was a bond with the voters that this program at that size can only be delivered as a matching share with the federal government. You can't transfer this from the federal government to local government. It doesn't have the ability to do that, and the argument is just remarkably flawed. So we need to dispel that myth. We're going to dispel this myth. Are you all horrified by this? Does this bother you and concern you? Are you ready to do something about this? We're asking you to do that. We're going to have to ring the bell a second time. And this one is a little bit stronger than the last one. You have to take this seriously. Your paid professional staff is going to do its job, but we need you again to answer this bell. It is critically important. We have a wonderful press conference right after this, right after the noon hour. We have some luminaries in our industry that are joining us in this press conference. And guess what? I mean, I am floored. We have, this is a media magnet. Every large news organization, print organization, is going to be there. Because guess what? This is a controversial issue. And guess what? It defies explanation. How can we say we want to invest in infrastructure and then retreat from our 35-year partnership to invest in public transportation and say, well, state and local government's going to do it because they're passing referendums? What's the logic of that? I don't get it. Does anybody in this room get that logic? I hope not. I hope not. So we are going to push that very hard. Please continue to do what you're doing. We need a unified and strong voice to do that. So our mission, in closing, is more important than ever for America's future. Your attendance here this week demonstrates a real commitment to your communities, to your colleagues, and to APTA. With your continued help, I'm confident that this rail renaissance will go on, that the federal government will continue its partnership role, and we'll have more good news to celebrate by the end of the year. Thank you very much. And with that idea of celebration top of mind, let's welcome Durham back to the stage to announce this year's Safety and Security Award winners.
All right. Well, before we do that, something else to do, which is very exciting. Remember when I said that, unfortunately, because of her busy schedule, the mayor wouldn't be able to join us? Remember I said that? Just kidding. Madam Mayor, thank you for being with us and for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule. We are very fortunate to have Mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pugh, with us here today. Mayor Pugh is, let's give her a hand, absolutely. Mayor Pugh is a public servant, has been a public servant for more than 15 years, having served on the City Council and serving as the majority leader in the Maryland General Assembly. She's also been a very successful businesswoman, and she understands the link between public transportation and economic development. Again, a very busy person, very much in demand, and we are very honored to have here joining us today. Again, please welcome Mayor Catherine Pugh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I could not let you all come to my city and not come through here. And so crazy schedule. But Dick White, let me just say to you, I hope that everybody is hearing your conversation with us this morning, because it is you're absolutely right. While it is important that the federal government invest in our transportation system, because local governments just don't have that luxury. And when we think about transportation hubs and the creation and expansion of transportation and the job market, getting people to and from work is important, whether we're building near transportation-oriented facilities or making sure that people can go from one place to the other. I say this because as the mayor of this city, what I do know is that we're very limited in terms of our transportation. While we have light rail and we do have a great bus system and we're trying to expand our bus system, you all know that we missed out on some federal dollars as it relates to creating a more expansive rail system for our city. And so, for example, if you were traveling from Baltimore City to some of our great surrounding hubs like Anne Arundel County, where thousands of jobs are being created, it takes our people living in our city almost 2.5 hours to get there, 2.5 hours to get back. Nobody can sustain a job over a long period of time with that kind of transportation in place. That's why this conference is important. It's important that you all rattle those in D.C., our Congress, our senators, and let them know that transportation and this rail system throughout our nation has been important for a long period of time, and we've got to continue the importance of expansion and the growth so people can get to work and get to where they need to go. This is the fastest way, and it's interesting, and I'm sure that we have some international visitors, that when you go to foreign countries, you get to see what rapid transit is really about. We can do that in this country, but it does mean investment on behalf of federal government, but it also means partnerships along the way. And so I'm excited about the work that you all will do while you're here, the advocacy that you will continue to echo on behalf of transportation needs and the rail system in this country. But again, I just want to take a moment and say, welcome to Baltimore. Please spend money while you're here. We've got some great restaurants. And while you don't have to travel real far, you can get on light rail and go from one end of the city to the other. There's some great restaurants right within your walking distance. So enjoy yourselves, but more importantly, I look forward to your press conference outcome and more importantly, your advocacy and the work that you all do on behalf of the citizens of our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today and for the incredible hospitality that your colleagues have already shown as we've been here in your great city. All right, now we're going to go on to something extra super cool. Safety Awards, Safety and Security Awards, and this is an exciting part of the program. Certainly want to recognize and celebrate excellence here, but for me, one of the things with the Safety Awards program is not only to celebrate excellence, but also to give us a chance to learn from our colleagues in terms of what they've done. So as you hear the organizations that are being recognized for excellence, go find these people, learn what they did, ask them questions, and take it back home, because that's the value of what we do together. It's now time to announce the Safety and Security Excellence Award winners. And as you know, safety and security is at the core of what we do. We started our program that way. It's the first goal in our 5-year strategic plan. It's also been my #1 priority as your chair. And again, it's the most important thing that we do every single day. Before we get started, I want to recognize and thank our awards selection committee. And our selection committee worked very hard to consider the award winners. They are on the screen here. Let's give them a round of applause. I want to thank our hardworking committee for their efforts on our behalf of our industry. We're going to start off with certificates of merit, and we have 3 certificate of merit award winners. I'm going to introduce the 3 award recipients and ask the representatives from those organizations to stand once all 3 have been recognized. We'll hold our applause until I've recognized all 3 of these organizations. For light rail and streetcar systems, the Certificate of Merit for Safety goes to the San Diego Metropolitan Transit System, or MTS, of San Diego. San Diego MTS implemented a state of good repair program called Trolley Renewal. The program increased safety and reliability, ensured employee and passenger safety during and after construction. The results were that it reduced liability claims by 50% and eliminated injuries related to vehicle boardings and equipment. Also for light rail streetcar systems, a certificate of merit for security goes to the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, or VTA, of San Jose. Santa Clara VTA conducted an assessment for security enhancement with 17 action items. The program resulted in creating a new Department of Safety and Security, better emphasis on teamwork, and it allowed the VTA to safely and securely transport the crowds to Super Bowl 50, no small feat. Our final certificate of merit for safety is in the heavy rail category, and it goes to the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority, or GCRTA. GCRTA implemented an emergency pantograph lowering system that resulted in keeping operators out of danger, providing better ways to cut off electricity, and lowering costs of claims, repairs, and maintenance to vehicles. Will all of the certificate recipients please stand and let's give them a rousing round of applause. All right. And again, go find these folks. Learn more about what they did because they have phenomenal programs. We'll now go to our Gold Award recipients, and we have 4 Gold Award recipients. For light rail and streetcar, the Gold Award for safety goes to Metro Transit of Minneapolis-St. Paul, Minnesota. Metro Transit executed a comprehensive public outreach and engineering program to enhance pedestrian safety. The program included 1.25 million billboard impressions and 200,000 radio spot impressions, plus safety brochures in 4 languages. The program included upgraded train approaching signs, extended fencing along the right-of-way and stations, and the result is that light rail pedestrian collisions decreased by 50% in 2016. Quite impressive. Let's learn more.
My name is Michael Conlon, and I serve as Director of Rail and Bus Safety at Metro Transit. We are honored to have been named the 2017 Gold Award recipient for Rail Safety Excellence. In our application, we demonstrated how we blended outreach and engineering to enhance pedestrian situational awareness as they interact with our LRT system. These results demonstrate the effectiveness of paying attention to the generational and cultural differences among us when designing outreach messaging and enhancing the visibility of transit operations in the field. At Metro Transit, we continue to look for opportunities to enhance our safety management systems while implementing operational efficiencies. Safety is the cornerstone of what we do. We support each other in this effort, understand that we have a shared responsibility, and today we get to appreciate shared success.
Congratulations. All right, good stuff. And again, congratulations to our friends and colleagues from Metro Transit. For light rail and streetcars, the Gold Award for security goes to the Maryland Transit Administration, our host agency. The MTA analyzed crime data and specifically fare evasions. The results of this program included citations for fare evasions increasing by 109%, a highly visible enforcement program which helped reduce crime system-wide, and as a result, serious crime was reduced by 43%. Let's learn more.
M.MTA is one of the largest multimodal transit systems in the nation. We operate local bus, commuter bus, light rail, metro subway, MARC train, and mobility paratransit. M.MTA directs funding to locally operated transit systems in all of Maryland's 23 counties and 3 major cities. 2017 marks the launch of Baltimore Link. Baltimore Link is a complete overhaul and rebranding of the core bus and transit service for the region. It will mean faster and more efficient service and increased connectivity throughout the region. Also in 2017, M.MTA is proud to have earned the APTA Gold Award for Rail Safety and Security. Our agency was recognized for crime reduction and our light rail fare evasion prevention program. M.MTA police officers and fare inspectors ride the system daily, conducting random fare inspections to ensure compliance. We were also recognized as the safest of the 12 largest transit systems in the nation when it comes to serious crimes. MDOT MTA, leading the way in safe, efficient, reliable transportation with world-class customer service.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Brian.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Congratulations, very exciting. For heavy rail, the Gold Award for Safety goes to the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority, or MARTA of Atlanta, the site of our expo in October. MARTA reviewed, revised, and enhanced wayside access procedures and established new wayside procedures, certifications, and requirements for inspections. The results were improved employee and contractor safety on the right-of-way, and no employee, get this, no employee or contractor fatalities on the right-of-way since 2001. Quite impressive. Let's learn more.
MARTA is currently the 9th largest transit system in the United States, providing more than 450,000 passenger trips every weekday. We maintain our wayside assets to provide a safe rail system throughout MARTA. Our wayside access procedure provides guidelines and training for employees and has created a safety conscious culture, resulting in 16 years of right-of-way worker protection without a worker fatality.
We've been developing our wayside access procedure, and it's a living document. It's a journey. And over the years, we've made many, many improvements to make it safer for our employees while on the wayside.
You got the flagging procedures that makes things safe. Okay, you got the absolute block.
The absolute block is one of the best safety procedures that they have in place right now because it locks out the trains from interlocking to interlocking, which prohibits trains from coming in the work area as we put on the on-track equipment.
Basically, we own the tracks at least 6 hours every day. And basically, we have the safety. We're constantly monitoring the trains. We're monitoring our radios. And we're constantly watching each other back while we're doing the work.
We're responsible for movements of the train. We're responsible for the movement of all the equipment that is placed in the trackway for the train movement. So we maintain that, keep it safe. If that's safe, our customers are safe.
I'm most proud that MARTA is being recognized for this, for APTA's Gold Standard Award, because our wayside access procedure it's number one. I mean, you can't get anything better.
You know, safety is not something you just win an award and quit. It's a lifestyle. You've got to keep everybody's focus on it from now on. People ride this system every day, and I take pride on people riding this system safely. I take pride, and my whole department takes pride in doing our job safely.
Congratulations. Good stuff. Congratulations. Hey, congrats. Let's gather up here. All right, here we go. Congratulations to all of our colleagues at MARTA. And our final gold award is in the heavy rail category, and it's a gold award for security. And it goes to the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, also known as LA Metro. LA Metro developed solutions for homeless outreach as well as harassment. As part of this program, a task force for homelessness was created. In addition, a survey was conducted to assess the magnitude of the problem related to customer harassment. And the survey found that 1 in 14 riders had been groped while on the transit system, and that 1 in 10 had been subject to an act of indecent exposure. In response, a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week hotline was created, and incidents of sexual harassment have declined. Let's take a look at LA Metro's video and learn more. There we go. Well, congratulations to LA Metro. Let's give one more round of applause to all of our Gold Award winners and all of our Certificate of Merit winners. We're very proud of your accomplishments. Big round. You know, I started our program with a mention of the play Hairspray, and if you've seen the play or you've seen the movie, you know it starts with Good Morning Baltimore. And I was particularly thinking about that given the Tony Awards last night. Many of us were at the rodeo banquet, so we couldn't get to see the show. We'll have to watch it in reruns or something like that. But that particular play begins with Good Morning Baltimore. And it ends with another number, if you've seen it, and it's called You Can't Stop the Beat. And if you've seen that particular play or movie, you know that it's all about change. It's about change that was happening not only here in Baltimore, but it was change that was happening throughout our entire country. It was a time of great change, the 1960s moving into the 1970s, when the world was truly changing and changing in some very, very dramatic ways. Well, as I think about where we are here today, we're also at a time of incredible change. We heard Kevin talk about mobility, not about rail, not about bus, but about mobility, about integration, about the customer experience. Our world is changing as well. And we've got to be focused on that. We've got to be thoughtful about that. We've got to be thinking differently. You can't stop the beat. You can't stop the beat of change. It's coming. And really, we have two choices. On the one hand, we can let change happen to us, or we can create the change that we want to see. Now, I don't know about you, but I want to be in a position of making change happen, being in the lead on this thing, making that change the way we want it to be, and driving that future. You can't stop the beat. Let's go and have a great conference.